pen hovered just above the dotted line, the black ink trembling at the tip like it could sense the weight of what was about to happen. Outside the boardroom's tall glass windows, the city glittered under the late afternoon sun. Inside, every eye in the room was fixed on the man in the tailored navy suit. Nathan Cole, billionaire investor, was minutes away from sealing a deal that would make headlines for weeks. The contract was worth billions more than enough to secure his legacy. For Nathan, this was supposed to be the pinnacle of years of relentless ambition, shrewd negotiations, and a life defined by discipline. But just as his signature began to curl on the paper, the heavy oak doors at the back of the room creaked open. "Nathan Cole," a voice called, breathless yet steady. Everyone turned. A young woman, no, barely more than a girl, stood there. Her hair was windblown, her coat too big for her small frame, her eyes wide with determination. She clutched a worn leather satchel in one hand and an envelope in the other. "I'm your daughter," she said. The room went still. The lawyers shifted uncomfortably. The CEO across from Nathan frowned, impatient. A few board members whispered to one another. Nathan himself sat frozen, the pen slipping from his fingers. His mind scrambled for meaning. Daughter? Impossible. He had no children. He would have remembered, wouldn't he? "Miss, you can't just walk in here," his assistant, Grace, said firmly. But the girl shook her head. "Please, I need to talk to him just 5 minutes." Nathan's first instinct was to dismiss her, another ploy, another distraction. But something in her eyes, an almost mirror-like reflection of his own, made him pause. The CEO cleared his throat. "Nathan, shall we proceed?" He could have said yes, signed, and changed the course of his company forever. Instead, Nathan closed the folder. 5 minutes, he said quietly. They stepped into the hallway, the muffled buzz of the boardroom fading. "My name's Emily," she began, clutching her satchel like a shield. "I'm 19. My mother, she passed away 3 months ago. She told me about you before she died." The name she spoke next to woman Nathan had loved and lost decades ago hit him like a punch to the gut. Memories flooded in. A summer romance, promises under city lights, an abrupt goodbye when his career ambitions pulled him overseas. He had never known she'd been pregnant. "I don't want your money," Emily said quickly, reading the suspicion in his eyes. "I just didn't want to go the rest of my life not knowing who you are." Nathan searched her face for proof, and it was there in the stubborn line of her jaw, the way her eyes darted when she spoke, the faint dimple in her cheek when she tried to smile. But there was a deal waiting in that room, billions at stake. And yet, for the first time in decades, something pulled stronger than business. "Where have you been living?" he asked. "With friends. Sometimes in shelters. I'm trying to finish college." But she trailed off. Grace reappeared. "Nathan, they're asking for you." Emily stepped back. "I shouldn't have come." "Wait," Nathan said, and for the first time in years, he walked away from the boardroom by the time they stepped out of the polished glass lobby. Nathan's phone was buzzing non-stop. Grace's urgent voicemail warned that the board was furious, investors panicking. But Nathan hailed a cab and took Emily to a quiet cafe. Over coffee and hot chocolate, he learned about her life, her struggles, her resilience. "You left $1 billion deal," she said in disbelief. "I've closed 100 deals like that," Nathan replied, "but I've never met my daughter before." He couldn't ignore the ache that rose when she told him her mother had believed he was destined for something big, never realizing that being a father could have been just as important. The next morning, his lawyer called. "If you don't sign within 48 hours, the deal collapses." Nathan looked at the guest room where Emily slept and chose to skip his meeting. He cooked breakfast instead. By evening, he was showing her his late mother's old townhouse. "If you want," he said, "you could stay here while you finish school. No strings." She tried to hide her tears. Over the next weeks, the business world called him unreliable. Some partners cut ties, but others respected his choice. And every evening, Emily's presence filled the silence he had once mistaken for peace. One night, as they watched a movie, she rested her head on his shoulder. "This might be the best thing that's ever happened to me," she said. Nathan's voice caught. "Me too, kid. Me too." Months later, a rainy Thursday brought a scare. Nathan's phone rang. It was Emily's college advisor. She collapsed during a lecture. He rushed to the hospital to find her pale and exhausted. The doctor diagnosed severe anemia and malnutrition from years of instability. That night, while she slept, Nathan's lawyer messaged him, "Last chance. If you rejoin and sign now, they'll take you back." It would mean weeks of travel, no time for her recovery. Nathan typed one word, "No." In the months that followed, he focused on her health, taking her to appointments, cooking for her, listening to fears she'd never voiced before. The business world moved on without him, but he didn't care. He was there when she graduated, clapping the loudest. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "Some deals," he told her, "are worth more than money, and you're the best one I ever made." 2 years later, the townhouse walls were lined with family photos. Nathan had traded tailored suits for cozy sweaters. One evening, Emily slid an acceptance letter across the tabula, prestigious graduate program overseas. Pride bloomed in him, followed by the ache of knowing she'd be far away. "You've got to take it," he told her. "I'll be here, cheering you on." The months before her departure were bittersweet weekends at the cafe where they'd first talked, home-cooked meals and long walks. At the airport, Emily hugged him tightly. "I'm scared," she admitted. "You'll be fine," Nathan said. "And if you ever need me, I'll be on the next plane." She smiled through tears. "You've changed. I've just learned what matters," he replied. Months later, she called from a new city, her voice bright with excitement about her studies and new friends. Nathan listened, smiling, the same warmth filling him as the day she walked into that boardroom. When the call ended, he stood by the window, the city lights glittering below. Love, he realized, didn't need signatures to be binding. It needed presence, commitment, and the courage to choose people over profit. And for the rest of his life, Nathan knew he'd never make the mistake of choosing money over family again. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story of love, redemption, and second chances, make sure you subscribe to Kindness Sparks and stay connected with us. More inspiring stories are on the way, stories that remind us all that the most valuable deals in life aren't signed on paper, but in the heart.